Dun, 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 dun. Okay, sorry, too much. Anyways, guys, we need to get some music going on in here. That'd be fun. Anyways, we're getting better every week with this. So yeah, guys, today on our weekly whiteboard, I'm going to start out by just talking about the Memphis Investment Properties team, the dream team that we've assembled. And feel free to ask any questions in this chat over here. If I don't answer them this week, I'll try to answer them next week as well. But I'll probably be answering most of the questions because, you know, it's just fun to do. So let's go over the Memphis Investment Properties team. So let's start from the beginning. In the beginning, the team starts out with, we are doing marketing. So I'm going to go through like our whole process from start to finish of what we do, what it takes for us to deliver a fully renovated turnkey property to you as an investor, wherever you are in the country or world. So first we start out with marketing, and what we're marketing is for distressed properties. And discounted distressed properties, reason being is we actually want more distressed properties than like kind of just light and fluffy, easy renovations. Reason being, the more reno there is, the newer it is, the newer the things put into it, and the newer the house is when you buy it. So that's always good. But obviously, we'll just look at the numbers and buy it based on the condition. And also, the more distressed, the lower we can buy it for, the greater the renovation, the greater the discount, and good returns we can pass on to you as an investor. And obviously, we're a profitable business as well. So we're looking to create a win-win, delivering a great rental product that is still in a great cash flow market, buying day one fully renovated, and also having the means to employ all the people here, our staff and overhead and all that. So we're doing marketing for distressed sellers, you know, foreclosure, divorce, looking to sell quickly, people needing to move fast, people who have houses that are just outdated simply, needs a lot of repairs, pretty much everything in between that. So we're sending out a lot of marketing, direct mail, we have billboards, we have TV commercials actually here in Memphis, we have online websites that attract people that are searching for keywords like sell my house fast, you know, we buy houses, things like that. We also actually own the We Buy Houses brand for Memphis. We're licensees. It's a national brand, and we have the exclusive license to represent the We Buy Houses brand here in Memphis, Tennessee. So we pay for that. So anyways, we're spending quite a bit of money to market, to find deals, especially in this market today, as it is a seller's market. Obviously, it's hard to find the deal. So that's what we're doing, marketing. So what we have is we have a marketing team. Rich, DeLeonardo, and Grant are our awesome marketers. Then we also have some VAs to help out. Anyway, so when a lead comes in, we get a phone call. Then we actually have 3 virtual assistants that it's basically like our own little miniature call center. We pretty much can answer any call unless it's like 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. or sorry, like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. is when we don't have any people on the line, but we'll usually answer them the next morning at 8 or something. Anyways, we have virtual assistants. They're taking the call. Hey, tell us about your property, the condition, all of that. And so these teammates are then scheduling, so they schedule an appointment with our acquisitions managers. So we actually have 3 acquisitions managers, and they're going out to houses, meeting with the seller, talking about the condition of their home, their reason for selling, all that, helping them out, creating a win-win, and then basically making an offer. So then we make an offer, and usually we'll get it, you know, we analyze it and get it under contract. So then we go ahead and we buy it. So then when we buy it, obviously that turns over to the side that you guys see, our investors, is, you know, we're going ahead and doing the reno. Also, one thing in here, during this analysis phase, we actually have budget. We set a budget, a hard budget with Bob. So Bob's our renovation kind of manager here. He goes and sets a budget on every property. That way we have a standardized way of estimating the repairs. We're knowing what's going to be fixed on the property. So then that's how we do that before we buy it, because obviously we need to make sure the repairs are going to be what we expect them to be. So then we do the reno, and we typically, right when we start the reno, we'll sell the property. We'll put it on the MIP website every Thursday, and it's sold to an investor. Then when the reno's done, there is a home inspection, and an appraisal if you're getting a loan. So who is helping you through this phase? Team member Mark Hart, and he actually has 3 virtual assistants. Lara, Jest, and Essa are 3 virtual assistants for him. The acquisition VAs are John, Maria, and Ann. They're very helpful, help us schedule and call and follow up. Anyways, they're helping get all those marketing materials up there and everything. Then once when it's under contract, Jen, she helps you with getting your appraisal, inspection, giving you photo updates and all that. So that is the team for the sell process. Also, we have reno supervisors. So the reno people, we'll put them under here with the reno people. We have Judd and Derek. And we just hired another guy. What's his name? Just started. Well, it used to be Jason. Oh, Doug. Yeah, Doug. Doug's awesome. So we got 4 reno guys. They also have crews and manage them. Wow, pretty big team rolling on over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 people so far. Obviously, there's myself kind of helping out with this whole process, the data and analytics. So that's pretty much the team, the dream team that has been assembled for Memphis Investment Properties and everything like that. All right, so I actually had a question. Yeah, that's the dream team, the process, and I'll go over a question in a second here. So then it does the home inspection and appraisal. Obviously, if that is all satisfactory to the buyer, you close on the property. And so now you own it, we've sold it to you. Then we transition over to property management. So you'll have 1 of 3 people to help you out. It will be Carrie, Jill, or Lori. They're going to help you set up your property management agreement, make sure we have your ACH instructions, so when the rent checks come in, we put them straight to your bank account. They answer any maintenance questions you have. They're kind of like your liaison. They coordinate with all the other departments to help you, get your questions answered, let you know what's going on with your property and all of that. There's also Zach. Zach Bador is over the property management division, kind of handles the higher level issues and manages this team, makes sure everything runs smoothly. He helps you out with insurance claims. He helps you out with also your property management agreement if you have questions. Also preventative maintenance. We have some preventative maintenance programs like termite sprays and HVAC filters being replaced and checks and things like that. So anyways, that's the property management team. So I would definitely include them in on our team. Then obviously in the property management, there's like several other departments there's a collections department, an accounting department, a maintenance department to answer the tenant phone calls, maintenance crews to get them renovated. A leasing team, of course, as well, a whole leasing team. I would go into all those people, but the MIP team is pretty much comprised of this. There's also my partners, Jim and Brad Reedy, who are helping getting all the financing, all the big deals getting negotiated for this as well. So that's pretty much the MIP dream team. Thought that'd be interesting for a couple people to look behind the curtain there, check how things are going. So let me go off a question here. I got a guy here who asked me a question. My name's Austin. So Austin actually asked me a question. Before jumping into real estate, he'd like someone to talk me through the steps for purchasing his first property. So his primary concerns is how to avoid vacancies. Okay, so that's a great question. How to avoid vacancies. I'm going to erase this, kind of go off that question. Can you test a question just to see if they work? Or actually, put the Sofa Summit so I know to talk about it. Thanks, Rich. All right, so guy said, how to avoid vacancies. That's a great question. So that is probably, in real estate, that's probably one of your bigger risks, obviously especially a rental property, a vacancy. Reasons being, one, you're not collecting income during that time, especially if you have one unit, that's 100% vacant, no money coming in. Two, It's vacant, meaning, there's no one in there living in there physically. Opens up the opportunity for theft, bigger liability, people walking through, things like that. What else? Then like, the mechanical systems, things aren't being washed over. If it's vacant in the winter, that's why we mitigate that by, vacant in the winter, it could freeze, the pipes could burst, and if no one's in there, it's going to be bad. Also in the summer, that person living there will have the utilities on in the winter, summer. It'll keep it in kind of good homeostasis shape, temperature-wise. So obviously, that's a great question, how to reduce vacancies. So I think first and foremost, we've discussed why it's important to focus on this. First is the biggest thing is your tenant. So your tenant screening, right? You need to be very thorough on your tenant screening, which if you're going to be investing out of state, that means you'd probably want to have the best property management company you can think of. Not saying which one, but being biased, I would say definitely ours would be a great one to look into. A property management company that will screen these tenants. So we check a background check. We're looking for violent crimes. We do a credit check, looking what their debt to income ratio is, writing that onto their monthly budget. We are checking their current employer. I was actually just walking in today. There's a lady, and we actually require 6 pay stubs. Yeah, it's more than any lender. We've really just upped that so to show that they've had a long track record of work. And she's like, well, my employer only can give me my past 4 online. So it's like we're really checking their past paychecks, verifying their employer, making sure that they still are working there or like submitted correct documents and all of that. I have a whole video on the tenant screening process, just so you know, but screening is important. Then also we're making sure they make 3 times the monthly rent, and we do it based off net, not gross. So net, we actually minus their taxes out of their paycheck. Then they need to make 3 times that. Most people do it off of just gross before taxes. So it's actually kind of more like, it'd probably be like a 3.25 gross is kind of what I don't know what technically it would be, but something around there. My estimate would be what we're really making sure their income. So more than what other people have. Obviously, another thing to avoid vacancy is a security deposit. So why? Why a security deposit? That's a great one. I actually never really dove into that. Why collect a security deposit? But the reason being is that, sorry, I'm trying to get all these questions here. Okay. The reason being is that they have skin in the game. So if they're putting, $500 down, $1,000 down, they could potentially lose that security deposit if they exited the lease without authorization or before the lease expiration date. Also, they're wanting to keep the property better and all that. If they damage anything, we can keep that. So it kind of protects you as a landlord. This is another way to avoid vacancies. Okay. And then what else on how to avoid vacancies? You're a great property management company. Oh, of course. Here's another way to avoid vacancies is take care of the tenant. Take care of them. So what does that entail? Answering their maintenance calls in a timely manner, responding to their maintenance requests and fixing them in a timely manner. Just these basic things that you would think should be just known, but you'd be surprised. There's lots of property management companies out there or property managers, aka slumlords, that don't really take care of those things. So if I'm like, hey, there's a hazard on my property, especially stuff that is hazardous, uncleanliness stuff, if that's not taken care of, tenants actually have the right, after they've given you so many warnings and time to fix and remediate the issue, to just exit and legally get to keep their security deposit and not have any violations. So take care of them, answer their calls, collect their rent in a fair way, right? Have it all written up in the lease. Okay.
Marketing and syndication too.
Yeah, marketing, yeah. Let me go over that. I have one more. What was it? Oh yes, a lease. Have a good lease, a one that really protects you as the landlord, going, of course, with all the landlord-tenant rights laws that are allowed in the state of what you're in. So a landlord-friendly state would be a good one to have a good lease in. Then, of course, I think, I like it, marketing. You want to have great marketing because when it goes vacant, you want to market well so you get as many applicants, because the more applicants you have, you can pick the one that is the most qualified. and also get it done quicker, get them in quicker to reduce that time in between vacancy. We actually have a really good turnaround time. All of our properties have sold pretty much this year, have been occupied, or at least have a deposit down where the tenant's moving in pretty quickly. So Marky, yeah, those are the things. How to avoid vacancies is what you can do. I mean, there's lots of other reasons, but I'd say those are the main bread and butter reasons why. All right, another question I had here. Okay, where are the primary locations around Memphis that renters typically look? That is a great question. So let me start here. Our most popular video is on our YouTube channel called the Memphis Map. So we go over all the areas of town. That's more like on the investment side. I should probably make a map of one about tenants and all of that. I'll get that data from our property management company and give that out to you. But anyways, where tenants want to buy, the first answer is, man, I would say anywhere. Like there are people looking for A-class rentals, B-class, C-class, and even D-class. There is a high demand, especially in Memphis right now, for good, safe, clean rentals. So I think you can't really go wrong. Just there's so many people that want to rent in Memphis. It's a very high percentage to ownership ratio of renters here in Memphis. So first off that, but I think really what the question is, so really you can pick whatever. So it really just depends on your risk tolerance, if you're going for more appreciation versus just cash flow type of things. Also, you probably won't get as great of tenants in the lower end and the higher compared to the higher end, ratio speaking wise. But I mean, man, we really have tenants everywhere. I can't think of a property where there wasn't a demand for renters in there. Even in the really higher end, there still is up there. I'd say once you get until probably the $2,500 a month though, plus it kind of tapers off just because at that point in time when your rent's $2,500 a month, you could be affording a huge, big, expensive house for that type of mortgage payment. That'd be like a $500,000 house you could buy for that equal mortgage. So I think people figure it out above the A. So I think it kind of tapers out, like really around $2,000 a month. But I mean, the D, especially in this lower end, I'm talking like $550 to $650 a month. There's a huge demand in that region. I mean, but in even 2,000 down, our sweet spot is around 1,200 to 1,300, maybe even 1,000. But yeah, we got demand. So yeah, the answer is, what I think the answer is that you shouldn't be actually really thinking like areas of town where tenants want to rent. It's pretty much everywhere below the 2,000 a month range. I think the answer to that question is, what type of product are they looking for? So what type of reno? What type of house? Looking for that. So in this, whatever range you want to pick for renting, not are there demand for renters in there, but what are they looking for? So like, do you need granite or just Formica countertops? Do they prefer 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom or 2-bedroom? Do they prefer a bath and a half, or 2 baths or 3 baths? Do they prefer a garage, full covered garage, 2-car, 1-car garage, covered parking or not? And then also amenities nearby. Also then the reno, the look of the house, and what would maximize the rent to where you don't over renovate it to where it won't produce too much more of a rent price for renovating, like nice high-end stuff. But then also enough, you do want it high-end enough for the rent range to demand the highest rent and the demand of tenants moving in there. So the question was, just if you came in here halfway, where are the tenants wanting to rent? The answer is, I think all these sub-markets from 2,000 below, definitely high demand, even a little bit above 2,000. Great question. All right. James, Sean, can you talk about how to transition through the 10-house Fannie Freddie limits? Okay, so cool. I think I showed. Oh, cool. Yes, now it's down at the bottom of the screen. So James, great question, man. The 10-house Fannie Freddie limits. Do you have to assign properties to an LLC to make this happen? Okay, great question. I hear this one, every once in a while. It's a good one. Okay. So first off, let's just go over these kind of like Fannie Freddie guidelines. So first off, I'm not a mortgage lender. I talk to them all the time though. personally for my own investments and all that. So I know the whole spiel pretty much. I don't have the exact ratios and everything, but I can explain it pretty well. So obviously, let's start from the beginning. Fanny Mae, and Freddie Mac. Okay, so these are called the secondary market lenders. These are the big boys that have all the money, billions and trillions of dollars. And what they do is they buy like loans in hundreds or thousands of packages from like kind of these intermediary lenders, local banks and people like that. And they're buying all these big loans. So they all have all these guidelines. And one of their guidelines is that you can only have 10 single family to fourplex properties under your name. That's the limit. Once you have that, above that, they will not lend to you. So you'll get creative after that. I'll go dive into that, James. So first off, though, you can only have 10 loans in your name, okay? And what it is, for their guidelines, the first 1 to 4 properties, it's a little bit easier to get into, right? Especially your first house, if you're buying it personally, you can get like, an FHA or something. It was kind of similar to this. But your first 1 to 4, you need like an X percent reserves. And those reserves can be like based off your stocks, something that's semi-liquid. Okay, so they need reserves, and I think it's of the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So if you have one property and you're looking to get your second, I think you need, I don't know what it was. Either it's 0 or it's like up to 4 months of PITI reserves. Okay, then once you get 5, I think it's like 5. See, guys, I don't know all these strict guidelines. There's a whole spreadsheet that I think Aaron Chapman has on it. But anyways, I think it's like 5 to 8, and then 8 to 10. You need like 6 months, and then this one you need 12 months of reserves on your PITI of each one of these properties that you're on. So obviously, when you're going from your 9th to your 10th, you're going to need a pretty big reserve fund somewhere tucked away to just show, oh, hey, I have great reserves for this property. Let's just kind of put that in theory for your 10th one. Let's say you have 9 turnkey properties and like 1 personal residence, and your personal residence is $1,500 a month. And then let's call your turnkeys, let's call it $500 a month PITI times 8 plus the $1,500. I mean, that's $5,500 would be your monthly PITI for 9 houses. And let's say, I think it's 12 months of it. So you need $66,000 tucked away. Obviously below here, you only need like 0 to 4 months. So that'd be 500 times 2. Let's call it, if you had 2 properties, times that by 4 months. I mean, all you need here is reserves of like 4,000. Okay, so that's kind of the criteria. Diving into that a little bit. If you want, Aaron Chapman, one of our lenders, has a whole spreadsheet on that. I think all of our preferred lenders do. You'll see videos on them. Anyway, so there's the reserves thing. And then what they're basically saying above this 10, no, you can't have more. Why did they write that? I think Fannie Freddie just wrote it because they felt like doing it and they felt like it was safe. Like, oh, we want to spread out our risk. We don't want to own one guy who owns like 100 properties. Also, during the market crash of '08, I believe it had some sort of a larger limit or no limit at all before the market crash of '08. But then after, this is what their guidelines have been. So that one thing, I would keep that in mind. If you are married with a spouse or have a partner or anything, I suggest not putting the loan in both your names. Sean and my wife's name is Carly. I would just buy the house first, 10 in my name. Get up to 10, then kind of work away if your wife's working, especially. If your wife's working, I would load her up first. If you think of her like eventually retiring and not working, taking care of the kids, whatever, then maybe load up your wife with the loans first to get her up to 10 or as many as you can before she quits, because you have kids or whatever. And load her up in her name, those loans, because you do need to have income like W-2 or some sort of income to qualify for these loans. But anyways, I'd load up one person all the way, then load up the next person. Because if you did them all separately in your name, you can have up to 20 properties, right? There you go. There's a great idea. Because if you both had them in your name, you'd only have 10 between the two of you combined. Okay, so there's some thoughts there, stuff to think about before you go ahead and dive in and get in like your first loan. And if you've already done it in your personal residence, you bought it in your name with your wife, that's not a big deal. You guys will be able to have 18 combined. And just think down the road when you wind up with your 17th or 16th, you could maybe sell that house or something or change title. Okay, James, keep going on. Okay, do you have to assign properties to an LLC to make this happen? So, great question, James. You do not. Actually, Fannie Freddie prefers them to be in your personal name. So when you actually buy any of these, you cannot buy it into an entity of an LLC. It actually has to be in your personal name. So it would be Sean Taggy, all these loans. The reason being is because they want you to personally guarantee. That's one of their underwriting things. So I personally guarantee these properties. Obviously, about these Fannie Freddie loans, they're some of the best loans out there. They're 30-year fixed interest. They're not adjusting over time. So if interest rates go to 10% in 5 years or 20 years from now, they're still stuck at like 3% today. Second, no prepayment penalty. If you want to sell in a year, no prepayment penalty. Anyways, there's lots of great benefits. We call them golden tickets, these loans, because they're just amazing, great loans, really great long-term leverage. Yeah. So yeah, no, you do not need to put them in an LLC or anything like that. And even if you, like James elaborating, even if you had 4 and you put them all in an LLC, you still have to have them like in your name. So Fannie Freddie will still count those 4 like in your personal name. As long as the loan is still continuous, they know on their system like, oh, hey, you have 4 of our loans. You can't go like hide it, buy 4 in your personal name, then go quit claim them or put them into an LLC of like, you know, ABC real estate holding. Fannie Freddie knows that. The only way to get the name off the loans off your name is sell the house and pay the loan off full. I think that's the only way, unless there's some crazy creative way. So great question. All right, we're on Donna now. Let's see what she says. Historically speaking, was Memphis always such a big rental market like 50 years ago? If not, what factors turned Memphis into such a big rental market? All right, Donna, great question. Donna was here last week. Donna's a loyal watcher, 2 weeks in a row, and has asked a question. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, first off, I haven't been around in Memphis for 50 years. Looking at me, I'm only 31 years old. Okay, but I do have a partner, Jim Reedy. He's been in Memphis his whole life. He's been in Memphis real estate specifically, like in the field, either a real estate agent or investor for 45 years. Memphis has always historically been a rental market. I think being is that houses have been low. Then I think that just the type of jobs and the population here is just their mentality has always been renting. What else contributes to that? That's a great question. I kind of need to think about that one a little longer. Why? Yeah. So why? What? Oh yeah. Then big factors that turn Memphis such a great rental market is that prices are low compared to the national average. Memphis is extremely lower than the national average, like 20-30%. So home prices have been low, but then rents, like compared to the national average, it's like kind of like right at the national average, slightly above. Low prices, high rents, that's a rent to value ratio, okay? This RV ratio tells you a lot if something's gonna be a good investment or not. Like in Memphis, most of our turnkeys are selling at like a 0.9 rent to value ratio. When I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, and this was back in 2016, like a good rent to value ratio is like 0.7, 0.75. And like right now, just on the market, stuff selling in Utah and like California, it's at like 0.3 to 0.4. Like would be like, oh, that's a killer deal, rent to value ratio as like a rental, where that's barely even covering your mortgage. So this ratio is super high. So the higher this rent to value ratio, which Memphis has historically been, just kind of some math equation, I think just due to Memphis not appreciating rapidly because there's not a lot of homeowners. So I think also another factor is percent of renters. It has been 50% plus, 50% plus renters, where other cities, you know, go in Salt Lake because I know it pretty well, it's in the 30s, 40s, 20s in some markets. So being that way, that means most people that are buying houses are basing it off this ratio, which means investors are not overpaying, they're not buying emotionally, where if another market has a high percentage of homeowners, right? If you have a high percentage of homeowners, that means people are buying based off the look of the house, the school district, the paint color, right? All these things which aren't really looking at it from an investment standpoint. So those tend to appreciate. So Memphis has historically been like appreciation-wise, just very, very boring, like 1%, 2%, maybe 3% for the past historically 50 years, where other markets are like 3 to 6 to 8% sometimes. It's really only been the past couple years where Memphis is now getting pretty crazy, up in the 4 to 5% appreciation, but before we've been like a 1 to 2% appreciation market, which puts us at more of a stable market. Tangenting off on this, there's 3 types of markets. There's an appreciation market. There is a stable market, and then there's a hybrid. Okay, appreciation market, their appreciation's like, going like that. But, like that, but also like that, right? Some markets like that would be Las Vegas, anywhere in California, East, West Coast cities, Florida, stuff like that. Stable market, it's going, it goes up and down, but it's more like pretty smooth line, slightly going up. Then there's a hybrid that's kind of in the middle trending line, like going through here and, up and down, but not as quite as many peaks and troughs, so stable. So yeah, stable, I'd call that more of a cash flow market. This one kind of both a little bit. This one's obviously like just a super risk market, but pros and cons of that. So Memphis has typically been a stable, but I would say now, man, we are probably dipping into a hybrid market where we're having appreciation and still good cash flow. My opinion there. So yeah, great question. Thanks for reaching out. Where to find property? Oh, okay. All right. ABH, Abishka, has asked a question, where to find managers for rent-to-room business model? Okay, great question. So, I don't know, would be the answer. In Memphis, I do not know any property management companies that do rent by the room, so like to college students. Let's talk about that strategy, though. It's kind of fun to talk about for a bit and talk about the pros and cons of that, and also talk about it kind of in Memphis, if I think it would work or not. So obviously there is just rent the entire house and long term, which is like, 1 year plus. Pros and cons to that, obviously you have consistent cash flow. They're more likely to stay in there. So consistent rents, though, are probably going to typically be, be lower compared to these other values. It's more consistent. It's stable. It's a little bit less risk, things like that. You can vet out the person a little better. Obviously, it's just one person. They're not fighting with people. There's no fights. Okay, so then obviously there are rent by the room, so room rental. And room, let's call it long-term, though. So what's kind of nice, a pro to this, is that you're diversified, right? Meaning if you're renting out a 4-bedroom house and you have 4 college students doing, $200, $300, $400 a month, if one of them moves out, the 3 others are still renting, so you're getting cash flow. You can typically rent a little more per unit. Like let's say this house is a 4-bedroom, you could probably rent it for like $1,000. Just trying to give you a general example here. Where this one you could rent for maybe $350 a bedroom, so 12 plus another 200, 1,400. I mean, yeah, I would say you get like 12 to 1,400 on that, maybe 300 to 350 a room. So you get quite a bit more income, but then you have to screen 4 tenants, things like that. They might not want to stay quite as long a year, especially with school and college kids. Then obviously there's Airbnbs and all that. And Airbnbs, it's way more just, daily rate and all that. And you can get up to probably $2,000 to $3,000 a month with an Airbnb, which is way short term. And that can be by the room. Oops, I need to just put 1A on there. But obviously with Airbnb, very inconsistent, a lot more management. You have to buy all the furniture, everything like that. You have to manage it. You have to pay for all the utilities yourself, probably have more expenses of other utilities like the internet and Netflix and things on there. To find managers that do that, I personally do not know any that do rent by the room or Airbnb management, but I'm sure if you Google them, there would be some in Memphis. My partners, Jim and Brad Reedy, do have a couple Airbnbs, I'd say like 6 here in Memphis, mainly by like Elvis Presley's Graceland, or downtown Memphis, they do very well. They do, like I was mentioning, they usually typically do like 3 times more, 2.5 to 3 times more of what you would get for your monthly rent. But it is a pain to manage and a lot of transient stuff. And especially when there's multiple units and they're renting out, the neighbors get all mad. Someone's having a party till 2 a.m. The other people want to sleep because they have a business meeting in the morning. Pros and cons. So yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, Abhishka, great question. Are there new properties available with Memphis investment properties? They get sold out soon as they become available. Yes, that's a problem. Usually before, 6 months ago and the years prior, we've had 10, 20 properties available at any given time. The past 6 months, our inventory has dried up. Our demand has increased. And I think that's nationwide, and Memphis is really catching up with that. But we do have, we just released 6 properties last Thursday and then 4 the Thursday before. So, I mean, we buy anywhere from 4 to 6 houses a week, maybe more sometimes, maybe less. And we just put them out on Thursdays and release them. That's what we're figuring right now to do. Instead of having a big long waiting list, just kind of a first come, first serve. So right now we'll have more on Thursday is the answer. Stay tuned every Thursday. Be on our email there. You'll get the email blast. We'll let you know when they come available. And you just put the click here and decide. So yeah, there's that answer to that one. Okay. So yeah, this has been a fun one, man. You guys have hit me up with a lot of questions. Okay, so weekly whiteboard. I think we're gonna sign out today. If you have any more last minute questions, you can ask them or email me or something. Oh, yes, of course. Your favorite. Bum, 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 bum. Tomorrow is our SOFA Summit. It's going to be an awesome 2-day conference. 11 a.m. Central Standard Time is when it's starting. So that would be 9 a.m. in California and 12 on the East Coast in New York. And then for my Utah brothers, that would be at 10 a.m. And so, yeah, it's going to be going on. We're going to have a lot of great speakers going on tomorrow. Sign up for our SOFA Summit. You can go to our website, memphisinvestmentproperties.net. At the very top, it has a little icon to sign up for the SOFA Summit. It's going to be on our YouTube channel. I will be hitting it off, talking about how to invest in yourself, start with real estate investing. We have our great lenders, Aaron Chapman, Greg Iverson. We have a tax accountant talking about all the tax advantages of real estate, IRA custodians talking about how to invest in real estate with your IRAs, talking about multifamily properties. Jim Reedy, my partner, 45 years experience in Memphis. We'll go over his story and much, much, much more. So check out the SOFA Summit. Visit us. See you tomorrow, guys. We're going to be going live tomorrow. Oh, yeah, and we'll be walking through some properties and all of that. For rent okay, last one. You asked the question. For rent approximation, do you guys take into account the repairs vacancy? Yes. So on our pro forma on our website, let me share my screen. Let me test this out. So share screen. Boom. Share. Okay, cool. Let me grab this. So you go to memphisinvestmentproperties.net, and your question was, do we factor in vacancies and all of that? Click the properties tab, sign in all of your, all your stuff, and then you can see our inventory. You can see our previous deals, and this kind of gives you an idea of what other deals will look like. If they're available, they'll be available typically on Thursdays. But you go click here for details. It takes you into a marketing vault, and we have pretty much every question you need to know. The big one is just look for that one that, you could filter it either this way or that way. Anyways, just look for the one that says pro forma. Grab that pro forma. Look at this, monthly. So we have your rent, target rent, what we think the vacancy will be. As mentioned, we're estimating a 4% vacancy here, your operating income, your management fees, so 8% of gross collected rent. We have your insurance on here. Those are actual insurance quote from basically our third-party partners, Lipscomb & Pitts, an insurance company. They're awesome. We have repairs just as a repair reserve. I don't know what repairs will be. Well, we're just guesstimating 6%. Factor in your own number there. Annual safety inspection. We have that. We do a $75 annual safety inspection. So yeah, there you go. And if there's an HOA, we throw that in there. Usually there's not. So we have the expenses, the net operating income. We factor in like your loan if you put 20% down at a 4% interest rate is kind of what the going rate is today, 30% Fannie Freddie. we kind of go over your total down payment and all that, and minus your mortgage, payments, net cash flow, your ROI, our estimated 10% on this property, for example. Then if there was appreciation of 2.5%, that's what your property would appreciate in 1 year and would be the return on investment. The investment is $23,230. Okay, so yeah, we do go over all that, I guess would be the answer there. Okay, let me hide this. Okay, cool. All right, thank you guys. Thank you so much for chiming in. Appreciate everyone checking us out. Memphis Investment Properties coming at you live every Friday for the weekly whiteboard. All right, see you later.